All right, joining us now is CDC Director, Dr. Thomas Friedman. Dr. Friedman, thanks so much for being here.
Good morning.
Okay, let's talk about what we've been talking about thus far this morning, and that is, are you considering enhanced screenings at U.S. airports for people traveling in from Ebola-stricken countries?
We're looking at all options to protect Americans because that's our #1 priority. We do that 24/7. The first thing we did was to implement control measures in every airport in West Africa. Every patient who leaves, every person who leaves has their temperature monitored. The patient in Dallas had a temperature of 97.3 when he left. He didn't become ill for about 4 days after he arrived. And we've had over 40,000 visitors from West Africa, or people returning from West Africa, Americans and others, over the past 6 months. But we're going to look hard at every opportunity and see what we can do to further increase the safety of Americans.
Yeah, I mean, as you point out, the screening in his country did not work for Mr. Duncan. It failed. His temperature hadn't spiked yet.
It failed to identify a patient with infectious Ebola. He didn't have infectious Ebola. He developed that 4 days after he landed in the U.S.
Yeah, okay,
one of the things that we're doing is making sure that people who have symptoms, doctors have this top of mind so that the moment someone comes in from any of these 3 countries with fever, they're isolated and evaluated and tested.
Yes, and I understand that you have removed 77 passengers already from planes who were trying to board, but they were exhibiting some sort of symptoms. So in that way, I believe it's working. But in terms of the enhanced screening, once they arrive on U.S. soil, isn't that a no-brainer? Why not just institute that today?
We need to look at exactly what would be done, how it would be done. There are a lot of operational issues to do it right, and looking at other options as well that would further improve safety of Americans here. We're open to suggestions. We're open to seeing what works and how to make it happen.
As you know, there's a whole bunch of lawmakers who are calling to ban flights. They want flights out of these African nations stop. Now, we understand why you wouldn't ban flights going in. They need supplies, obviously, but why not ban them returning to the U.S.?
One of the challenges is if we can't get assistance in, if we can't keep the airlines flying, it'll be harder to stop the outbreaks there. And I'll tell you what could happen very easily if we isolate these countries. Harder to get help in. The disease spreads more within these countries. It spreads to other parts of Africa. And within a few months, we're dealing with outbreaks in many parts of Africa, a big problem not just health-wise, but economically, and a threat of Ebola that continues for months or years that we have to deal with.
Sure.
We have to ensure that we're focusing on stopping the outbreaks there, or something we might do out of the best of intentions to protect Americans might actually increase Americans' risk.